Hello everybody, my name is Bao and today I'm going to tell you about the Panama Canal. Panama Canal. Introduction. It was a modern marvel that began as a seemingly impossible dream. Yet that dream became reality in August 15, 1914, when a cargo ship Ancon eased through narrow walks and around towering mountains on its journey west via the newly opened Panama Canal. For so many, the Ancon's voyage was a day of triumph. A journey that in prior years had taken months to complete could now be accomplished in a matter of days, thanks to the combination of human ingenuity, American technology, and the sweat of thousands of laborers. The construction of a 50-mile-long canal was a colossal engineering feat the likes of which the world had never been witnessed. Workers spent 10 years gouging earth from the instruments and beating back countless obstacles in an effort to create a new water route for commercial, military, and recreational marine traffic between the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. You see that? Yeah. The opening of the Panama Canal not only spurred global commerce but also helped establish the United States as a world power. Nearly 100 years later, thousands of ships, from yaks to aircraft carriers, used the canal to cross from one mighty ocean to another. That's a shortcut. Well, instead of a long trip through South America here, why not do more in South America? Just cut Panama in half, Treacherous crossing. The idea of linking the Atlantic and Pacific with a canal was born well before the 20th century. Early Spanish explorers were the first to envision a waterway between the two oceans, but Spanish lacked the engineering ability to undertake such a venture in the 1700s. In the early 1800s, the British and the French government independently developed their own plans for building a canal but did not follow through. It was not until 1848 that the notion of a cross-instrument canal secured itself in the public imagination. That was the year gold was discovered in the steam bed at Sutter's Mill in California, sparking a great westward migration of hopeful fortune seekers from the east. When the gold rush began, the country was still young, with no transcontinental railroad, or stagecoach route connecting the east and west coast. Much of the area west of the Mississippi was wild and unsettled. Those who ventured west found the overland trek across mountains, plains, and deserts dangerous and long. Many travelers instead chose to make the somewhat less hazardous sea journey. Traveling from New York to San Francisco by boat was far less dangerous but took longer than the overland route. Because who knows that sailing through South America was not a problem. Yeah. But seagoing prospectors had two route choices. They could sail to Panama, travel by land across the Isthmus, then board a second vessel and sail to California. Otherwise, they had to make the whole journey of a ship and around Cape Horn to the southern tip of South America. The second choice was longer and more hazardous due to the heavy winds and rough seas encountered the way. The journey took the Isthmus about a week, but it was far from comfortable or pleasant. Travelers were transported first by Dugo Canal on the Chagres River, then by mole of an old Spanish trail. In the mid-1800s, a group of Americans decided to construct a railroad across Panama to make the journey easier. Construction began in 1850, and in 1855, trains were running regularly along the 47-mile railway connecting the Atlantic and the Pacific coast of the narrow isthmus. Along the railway have improved speed and ease of transport. Many people felt that a canal would be the best way to travel across the isthmus. A Frenchman, Fernand de Lesseps, oh, right, I don't know how to speak French much now, has successfully supervised construction of a 102 Suez Canal in Egypt, who better to oversee construction of a shorter canal across the isthmus. While since the French had built the canal in Egypt, will the U.S. make the same thing in a Central American country? Yeah. But I want to tell you first. Since that, Panama was control of Colombia. Colombia controlled Panama, and even though the U.S. tried to make things easier by trying to buy or, buy it, but the Colombian country did not approve, so there's a war, a small war. While the U.S. was involved, but the U.S. gave the Panaman riots in Panama some weapons and easily defeat Colombia. There, you see that? Yeah. The Panama Canal was closer to the capital city, A French take charge. In 1879, a group of French businessmen formed a company to dig a canal across Panama. With the experience there was said at the helm, de Lesseps was sure that the shorter Panama Canal could be completed in half the time, 10 years, it had taken to build the Suez Canal. First, the French had to sign a treaty with Colombia, which owned Isthmus at the time. Then de Lesseps and his assistant Philippe Boisvarida moved armies of workers and heavy machinery to the isthmus to begin digging. While de Lesseps was an enthusiastic project manager, he was not much an engineer. He failed to recognize the very different challenges that the Panamanian mountain jungle present compared to the flat sandy lands of Egypt. Digging started slowly as workers carved out tiny slices of jungle. Day after day, week after week, workers labored through steady downpours of stifling heat. Many workers perished in mudslide, while countless others died in accidents or from tropical diseases spread by mosquitoes. In spite of 7 years of effort, the French project made little progress and eventually went bankrupt. De Lesseps, the hero who conquered the desert, led Panama disgraced. Investments of more than 287 million or over 7 billion. Whoa! So much. Today had yielded more little more than a muddy mess, and the loss of over 20,000 lives. Wow. So maybe, it tells me that money in the 1800s, are worth more than now. 7 billion, million, who knows? For the next 10 years, the project stalled, having witnessed the difficulties encountered by the French. Most countries were reluctant to take on the task building a canal in Panama. Still, while many nations saw the region as a miserable swamp of death and disease, the United States recognized the opportunities a canal across the isthmus present. Americans take over. The dawn of the 20th century was also the dawn of America's expanded role on the world stage. While President Theodore Roosevelt took office in 1901, he believed a Central American canal was a path to America's future. He saw the channel as a highway for American commerce and a way to bring business to the eastern states and to the new markets of Asia. The canal would also be a strategic military asset during naval combat. The Roosevelt administration was committed to build a canal, but its effort met with a new biggest obstacle, the biggest of which was Colombia. The original American plan, called for starting a new canal farther north in Nicaragua, but Benito Varela, who had worked with De La Salle, advised against it. He convinced officials to resume work on the original French side. However, the Panama was still a part of Colombia, and the U.S. signed a treaty with Colombia, but the Colombian Congress rejected the treaty as unfair to their country. No one to take no for an answer. Roosevelt decided to help Panamanian revolutionaries overthrow the government that refused him. On November 3, 1903, rebels staged a coup to seize control of the region. The coup was finally over by sundown, and the United States formally recognized Panama's independence from Colombia 3 days later. Soon, thousands of workers flocked to the new country, rigging them with the latest technology and mass excavation equipment. Engineers set the teams to work. Teams worked digging the almost 50-mile canal from Colon to Panama City on the Pacific coast, battling the mosquito, just as the French. Malaria and the yellow fever were constant problems for the Americans. By 1906, 85% of the canal workers had been treated for these and other diseases caused by mosquitoes. The threat of sickness took a mental and as well as a physical toll. Roosevelt asked Dr. William Gorgas, an army doctor, to come up with a plan to combat the spread of mosquito-borne disease. Because the mosquitoes lay their eggs in water, Gorgas organized a team of Panamanians to roam the streets and empty barrels of standing water. He sent an army of fumigators to spray homes of insecticides and demanded the workers drape netting over their beds to protect them from bit as they slept. Gorgas' ideas worked, and by August 1906, The number of yellow fever cases was reduced to just 27. By November, it was dropped to 1. The last yellow fever victim Gorgas would see. Malaria proved a great challenge, but even their Gorgas efforts saw results. Death rate from malaria has fallen to less than 1% in the early 1910s. Make the dirt fly. Well, since I'm almost running out of time, maybe I will do this in the next one. Bye.